You ever find yourself using a pistol and a flashlight together? Maybe. Something like this, maybe something like this, and you're doing your cool tactical stuff. But the problem is, sooner or later you need to reload this gun, or maybe you even need to clear a malfunction. Now you can use a stupid lanyard thing, let go, do what you gotta do. But then the problem is, how do I get it back? And it's not particularly convenient. So that's a problem. There are solutions on the market to overcome this problem instead of using this doofy lanyard. Some are more expensive than others. Some have some drawbacks. I'm going to play with a newer one that just came out. Stick around. So here I have a couple of flashlights. This is a Phoenix PD36 TAC, Nightcore P23i. Just did a video on that if you guys have seen it. One of the problems that always plagues people when it comes to flashlights is retaining them, at least in a tactical scenario. Like, I want to be able to keep it in my hand and be able to like open my hand and do other things. And I've discussed kind of some techniques, like there's techniques, ways you can do that if I want to hang on to the light. At the same time, the hardware side of the equation has some entertaining options. And also, even when it comes to stowing these lights, like via pocket clip, things like that, I always worry about them popping off. So we got a couple of problems I need to solve. Like, for instance, this Nightcore. I don't love this pocket clip, by the way. I think you can put it in multiple spots on here, but it's very easy. If you can slide it on, then you can easily pop it off, right? There was a time where I would take a pocket clip and I would hook this on my armor, like this clip. I'd stuff it through some molly loops and it would just be sitting on the front of my carrier. Super convenient. That was awesome until one time I was chasing somebody and I bumped against frickin' door frame because we were going around corners. I don't even remember what the heck it was. And this stayed attached to the armor and this, like, it disappeared. Off it went. Not this particular light, by the way, but that happened. So that was one issue that I need to solve. Like, I need to solve that problem. And two, if you have to use your weapon two-handedly, or you have to reload or clear a malfunction, and you've got a flashlight in one hand, you know, we're back to that problem where I've got to do something with my hand. There are a couple of hardware solutions out there that I'm familiar with that are pretty good. You know, I don't want to say anything bad about them. The Thrim makes, like, I think called a switchback, and there's another company that does one specifically for Surefires that comes with a clip and a ring that's integral. Both of those suffer from cost, bulk, and I'm not particularly sure that if that thing decided to get ripped out of my hand, that it would come clean before it took some part of my hand. So degloving is a thing. I'm not going to post a picture of it. If you're not squeamish, Google it, but you can literally get the flesh ripped clean off a finger via ring. There's a reason why you see a lot of first responders wear silicone rings. I digress. Recently I saw this, the retention ring. I posted a picture of it on my Facebook. All the sex toy hijinks, jokes all ensued, and, you know, be that as it may, it's a simple solution, or at least it seems a simple solution, inexpensive. You know, this is like 10 bucks. It's a neoprene ring, so it can pop and it can deform, so you've got all of that. You know, the real issues that I see on some of these flashlights, you have these little tail grooves, like you could run it through there and you could set it up that way. That would probably work. And I didn't particularly hate that idea. It wasn't great, wasn't brilliant. What I really want is the ring closer to the middle of the flashlight. I don't love it at the end. I want it more toward the middle. So in order to achieve that, I've got to come up with my own solution. And by the way, while I'm on solutions, you'll notice that this has a pocket clip on it as well, and we're back to me talking about it also has no other means of attaching anything like this or a lanyard. So first, before I get to the retention ring, let me talk about what I like to do with pocket clips to keep them in place. You go to your handy dandy Home Depot, you buy yourself some cable ties, and you get a cable tie. This will keep that pocket clip in place. Now, look, it could deform. Like if enough pressure gets applied to this light or this clip with this solution in place, then the clip stays in place, but this could just bend out of the way. That's, I mean, it is what it is. But if you want an additional level of retention to kind of hang on to this clip, then here's what I do. So take your cable tie, run it so that it is exactly around the diameter where the pocket clip sits on the flashlight, and then just run it through. Now, before I actually do this, I'm going to extra cheat and I'm going to put my retention ring on that loop so that it's right there. So I could run it through the pocket clip, that's true, but I'm going to make a semi-permanent attachment to this. We'll see how it works. And then you can pull it tight. And if you want, you can actually put the little piece that sticks out up against the clip if you want it to be a little more low profile. You got options. Okay, so we did that. With this extra piece, you can cut it off with some diagonal cutters. I don't think I'm allowed to say dikes anymore. I think that's against the rules. Some diagonal cutters, you could cut it off with your pocket knife. Like for instance, I could pull out my Hogue Deca Magna Cut and I could very gently just whittle away that piece right there at the clip where it comes together. Then now I've got a reasonably smooth, let me get the other side. It's a little pokey there. There we go. So once we've done all that, now we've got a ring. I could put it on a finger and hang on to this. If you want on your support hand, same thing. And I like this because when it's on the center, it's easy for me to do stuff, but it's a lot easier for me to get the light again. Whereas if I've got the wrist lanyard, a lot of times it ends up dangling so far down that I can't get the light. This is pretty cool. And another thing that I'm liking about these is since it's a neoprene ring, guys, when you stuff this in your pocket, this whole contraption, this doesn't add any bulk at all. It just kind of folds flat or sits flat on the light itself. This is kind of a 2-for-1 situation, and I'm probably going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to put that light, or the lanyard, pardon me, kind of mid-body, and I'm going to use one of my zip ties again. And I'm thinking literally right in the dead middle of the light, like right there, because that's where I want my retention ring to end up. Same thing, I'll just cut this off. There we go. So once again, this will fit directly in a pouch. I can stuff a ring finger through it or a middle finger through it, do the work I need to do. If I need to do anything, I can finish that, work on the gun, then retrieve this, go back to what I was doing. So not a bad deal. Ladies and gentlemen, I have absolutely no affiliation whatsoever with these retention ring guys. Seems like a good idea. They've quasi-advertised it on some of the boards that I pay attention to or some of the groups that I'm on Facebook. Initial look is good. I like it. I especially like it with my zip tie mod. Like I said, if you're ever going to use a pocket clip to really retain a light, the zip tie mod makes a lot of sense to me because it's an additional kind of layer or barrier to hang on to that retention clip. Something to consider. It's just a little level of extra security when it comes to the clip itself, and when it comes to the ring, I like that better than the end, but your mileage may vary. This adds, you know, if you buy 100 pack of these, they're less than 10 bucks, I think, at Home Depot. You're talking it adding like, I don't know, like 10 or 15 cents to your overall project. In general, I think this is a pretty reasonable idea. Could this wear out? Yeah. Could it get torn? Yeah, of course. You know, the metal and the hard polymer ones are probably a more durable solution. But like I said, I worry about them not just in terms of bulk, but in terms of them costing me some part of my hand. Your mileage may vary. Something to consider. To pull this out and stuff this back in your hand, and look, if you take a hit or get knocked, it's right there, it's still there, so you can easily get it again. The lanyard itself, like I said, you end up with such a swing when you're using a lanyard. Like here's one for that night core. I'm actually kind of afraid to do this for fear that I'll run into the camera or my own face, but the amount of extra dangleage with the lanyard is substantive. I realize that there are some of you saying, well, Jay, in some endeavors danglage is good, but I mean, if you look at the distance from my hand to this, I'm not going to easily get this without doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Whereas if I'm using this ring, then the distance from there to there, much easier to retain. Much easier to retain. It's actually easier if you just go grab with 2 fingers and then reel it back into your hand. So I don't think the lanyard's horrible depending on what you're trying to do, and obviously a lot of lights come with them, but for any sort of serious purposes for the flashlight, I feel like the lanyard itself is probably a little bit, it's not optimal. We'll just say that. You know, is this optimal? I don't know. The one thing that you do get with those other retention rings is that because it is hard and there's less distance, you end up with it so that it's much closer to the light. I think I could probably shrink these in. So I wanted to touch base real quick at the end of this video. I found that doubling over the loop to make it shorter seems to be the much better way of handling this. That way I can put a finger through and I can let it hang, do what I need to do, and I can still quite readily get this. So if we look at me with a pistol, if I need to change mags, do whatever, rack, get it out of the way, and then come back. This works for me. Your mileage may vary, and I kind of liked it this way. Some people may want to have it higher up to where their ring finger goes through it. I'm still playing back and forth. I don't know if I want to do ring finger. That may be easier in terms of some of the rack and other, and then getting back on it. But if it's in the middle, you can get ring finger or middle finger, either one. Thus far, like I said, pretty happy with the retention ring. And when I stuff it in my pouch, it literally just kind of folds up alongside. And same thing in my pocket. So it is really not there when I don't want it to be, and it is there when I do want it to be. I like it, ladies and gentlemen. I know some people have used them for zipper pulls. Some people have used them for anything where I need to get hold of something small and be able to pull on it. I'll play with them. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments if this is something that you're remotely interested in. I'll put a link to these guys in the comments, obviously, or not in the comments, sorry, in the description. For now, I'm kind of interested, like enough to where I'm going to put it like on my EDC and my work light. So we'll see. Guys, I'm going to end this here. I know I've talked a considerable amount. You guys take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Get 'em, Jay.